The eerie depths of Samhain's legacy, peeling back the veil to explore connections to the supernatural. At the heart of Samhain lies the ancient belief that on this night, the barrier between the living world and the other world thins to a gossamer veil, barely separating the dead from the living. This chilling concept was not just a figment of imagination, but was deeply rooted in Celtic tradition, where the end of the harvest season heralded a time when spirits freely roamed the earth. It's a night when the air was thick with the presence of ancestral spirits, and the supernatural feels as close as the whispering wind. Historically, Samhain was a time of heightened supernatural activity, where the Aos Sai, or spirits and fairies, could easily cross into the human realm. These beings, while not inherently evil, were approached with a mix of reverence and dread. To appease these potentially malevolent spirits, the Celts made offerings of food and drink, leaving them outside their homes or at the edges of their villages. The practice reflects a palpable fear of the supernatural, an attempt to protect oneself from the unseen forces lurking in the dark. The ancient bonfires of Samhain, around which communities gathered, were not just for warmth or light. These fires were believed to have protective and cleansing powers to ward off the phantoms of the night. The flames were a beacon in the darkness, a symbol of hope and protection against the encroaching shadows. The act of extinguishing the hearth fires in each home and relighting them from the communal bonfire was a ritual of renewal, symbolically casting out the old and inviting in a purified new start, free from the grasp of the spirits that walk among them on Samhain night. The tradition of mumming and guising, where people would don costumes and masks, speaks to the theme of concealment, driven by the need to protect oneself from the supernatural beings. These costumes served a dual purpose. They were a method of impersonating and thus appeasing the spirits, but also a strategy to avoid being recognized and spirited away to the other world. In the tales and myths that ensconce Samhain, we find stories of creatures emerging from the other world, of the dead revisiting the living, and of the ancient tombs, the Sida, opening as gateways to realms beyond human understanding. Drunken miser. Stingy Jack worked as a blacksmith and had a reputation for being a drunk and a miser who was forever playing mean tricks on his family and friends. One day he happened upon the devil himself in his local hostelry. Remarkably unfazed, Jack brazenly invited the Satan to join him at his table and have a drink with him. However, being as stingy as he was, Jack was of course entirely unwilling to pay for the drinks, so he suggested that the devil should transform himself into a coin that could be used to settle the bill. In exchange for this, Jack offered the devil his soul. However, once the devil had agreed and had transformed into the required coin, Jack cunningly put it into his pocket along with a silver cross, which stopped the devil from transforming back into his true form. The sacrifice of Nemid. In the dark ages of Ireland, long before the light of Christianity touched its shores, the people of Nemid lived under the shadow of a monstrous tyranny. The Fomorians, a race of beings as old as the earth itself, demanded a tribute that was nothing short of a nightmare. Each Samhain, as the world slipped into darkness and the boundary between the realms of the living and the dead grew perilously thin, a horrific tribute was exacted. The air, chilled by the approach of winter, carried the cries of the Nemedian children, the future of the tribe, as they were torn from their mother's arms. The Fomorians, their forms obscured by the Samhain night, took 2/3 of the children, the best of the harvest, and the strongest of the cattle, leaving behind a trail of despair. The tribute was a dark pact, sealed in blood and sorrow, believed to be the price for peace with the Fomorian gods. The Nemedians, their numbers dwindling and their spirits crushed, gathered each Samhain not to celebrate the end of the harvest, but to mourn their losses, their songs of grief echoing through the night. Their world was one of unending sorrow, a cycle of sacrifice that seemed destined to continue until the end of days. Yet whispers of rebellion began to stir with the winds of Samhain, a spark of hope that perhaps one year the chains of oppression could be broken and the spirits of their lost children could find peace. Each year, as Samhain cast its ancient shadow over the land, the people of Tara braced for a terror that came with the night. Aelin, a creature of nightmare and flame, emerged from the otherworld, wielding music that wielded magic. His tunes were no mere melodies, but enchantments that lulled the fiercest warriors into a defenseless slumber, leaving Tara open to his fiery wrath. Amidst this chaos, there stood one who was immune to Aelin's spell, Fionn mac Cumhaill, whose resolve was as steadfast as the ancient stones of Ireland itself. Fionn, aware of the sudden doom, devised a plan to resist the slumberous harmonies. He pressed the sharp edge of his spear against his forehead, the pain a bitter anchor keeping him tethered to wakefulness. As Aelin approached, cloaked in the night's embrace, his music weaving through the air like a sinister fog, Fionn poised himself, a silent sentinel among the sleeping. When Aelin drew near, his intention to consume Tara in flame clear, Fionn sprang into action with the agility of a wolf. His spear, a streak of silver in the moonlit darkness, found its mark. Aelin, the bringer of fire and fear, fell, his reign of terror extinguished by the hand of the young hero. The night, once fraught with danger, was now silent, the threat vanquished. As dawn broke, the people of Tara awoke, unscathed, the memory of the night's peril fading like a bad dream. But the deed was not forgotten. Fionn mac Cumhaill's courage and cunning had saved them all, his victory over Aelin earning him not just their gratitude, but their allegiance. From that day forth, Fionn was heralded as the leader of the Fianna, his name echoing through history as a symbol of bravery and resilience in the face of darkness. The drowning of Tlachtga. Tlachtga, now a place of spectral memories, was once the domain of a druidess whose story is woven with tragedy and dark magic. The daughter of Mag Ruith, a sorcerer of fearsome power, Tlachtga was herself a master of the arcane arts. Her life took a sinister turn when she was violated by the sons of Simon Magus, an act that left her pregnant with triplets. The ordeal of carrying and birthing these children, each fathered by a different son of her attacker, sapped her strength and vitality, casting a shadow over her once bright spirit. Tlachtga's final journey was to the hill that now bears her name, where she sought to harness the energies of the land to protect her offspring and curse those who had wronged her. But the effort was too great, and she perished, her last breath a curse upon the hill of her demise. On Samhain, when the great fire festival illuminated the darkness, it was said that Tlachtga's spirit roamed free, her screams of agony and anger mingling with the crackle of the flames. The bonfire, a beacon in the night, served as a dual tribute, a ward against the dark and a memorial to her suffering. Villagers approached the hill with trepidation, offering sacrifices to appease her restless spirit and ensure that the darkness she harbored did not spill forth into their lives. The Cattle Raid of Cooley. The Cattle Raid of Cooley, a tale of valor and conflict. It was a time when heroes walked the earth, their deeds the stuff of legend. Yet, it was the Morrigan, with her raven black hair and eyes that could see through the veils of time, who set the stage for this epic saga. On a Samhain night, thick with the power of the otherworld, she whispered prophecies of a great battle stirred by greed and pride, where the blood of kings and warriors would drench the earth. The raid was ignited by the desire for the brown bull of Cooley, a beast of unimaginable strength and size, sought by Queen Medb to prove her supremacy over her consort. The Morrigan, in her guise as the Weaver of Fates, foretold the tragic outcomes of this conflict. Her voice carried on the winds of Samhain night to those with the power to heed her warnings. Yet, the call of destiny was too potent to resist, and the warriors of Ulster and Connacht clashed in a battle that would be remembered for generations. As the battle raged, The Morrigan flew overhead, a dark specter watching as prophecy unfolded. Each hero who fell was escorted by her to the otherworld, their bravery honored but their loss a wound in the heart of the land. The tale of the cattle raid of Cooley, woven with the magic of Samhain, serves as a reminder of the thin line between heroism and folly, and the price paid when the ambitions of the few outweigh the lives of the many. The conceptualization of Samhain as an entity, drawn from various interpretations and creative liberties taken in popular culture, literature, and modern pagan and occult speculations, one might imagine a range of powers and abilities attributed to such a being. Here's a list inspired by folklore, mythology, and modern interpretations of the Demon King of Halloween. Veil manipulation, the power to thin or thicken the veil between the physical world and the other world, allowing or preventing spirits from crossing over. Necromancy, command over the dead, able to summon spirits or revenants for communication or to serve his will. Seasonal control. As the lord of the end of the harvest, he could hypothetically control the seasons within his domain, ushering in winter and retreating it at his behest. Curse casting, the ability to curse individuals or lands, potentially causing blight, famine, or death. Immortality. As a being of legend, Samhain could be considered ageless and immune to death by natural causes. Shape-shifting, taking on various forms from a terrifying specter to a more benign guise to interact with or manipulate the living. Weather manipulation, the power to summon storms, fog, and chilling winds that mark the arrival of winter. Shadow walking, moving between shadows or using them as portals, essentially allowing for instantaneous travel anywhere darkness prevails. Psychopomp abilities, guiding or forcibly directing souls to the afterlife or otherworld. Energy absorption, drawing strength from the fear or reverence of the living or from the spirits during Samhain. Illusion casting, creating illusions to terrify, deceive, or communicate with followers or victims. Temporal perception, an awareness of past, present, and future events tied to the cyclical nature of seasons and life. The transformation of Samhain from an ancient Celtic festival into a personified entity, often depicted as a demon or dark lord, is a fascinating journey through history, misunderstanding, and the evolution of myth. This metamorphosis can be traced back to the 18th and 19th centuries, when antiquarians and scholars, diving into the rich tapestry of Celtic mythology, sometimes misinterpreted or embellished their findings. Charles Valency, a notable figure of the time, is often credited with some of the earliest written misrepresentations that conflated the festival of Samhain with a deity or demonic figure. Such works, although academically speculative, captured the public imagination and sowed the seeds for a darker reinterpretation of the festival. In modern times, this imagined figure of Samhain has taken on a life of its own within popular culture, horror literature, and even in some neo-pagan beliefs. Halloween, a holiday deeply influenced by Samhain, often features depictions of this entity as a harbinger of darkness, a master of the undead, or as the personification of the night itself. Films, books, and television series have further cemented this figure into the lore of Halloween, transforming Samhain from a seasonal turning point into a character that embodies the mystery and fear associated with the unknown and the supernatural. Doubtful that such a being exists except in fiction, and perhaps that is for the best. If you enjoyed this video, then like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.